Hello, and welcome to the Perception Podcast. I am your host, Thomas Casey Zellers, and today we are hopefully going to change your perception on things that you thought you already knew. So, the documentary, I've watched it twice, and I'm baffled
Thank you.
by how you took 10 months. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then you
Yeah.
were determined to lose it all by doing nothing but just eating fast food.
Yeah, I'd never been overweight. I had always been a quote-unquote fit guy. How can you instruct on this if you've never really felt what it feels like to be in their shoes? In the documentary, you'll see that I go around town with a sign on my chest and back asking people,
Yeah.
is it possible to lose weight eating only fast food? And everyone's question to me was, well, are you working out? It just showed me just the misconception of what people think.
Hello, and welcome to the Perception Podcast. I am your host, Thomas Casey Zellers, and today we are hopefully going to change your perception on things that you thought you already knew. Joining me virtually today is, he's a YouTuber I'm a big fan of, Matt Lane. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, Matt?
No, I appreciate it. I'm grateful to be here. So from the lens of what you know, how do you wrap me up? I'm a fitness person for sure. But you know me from Holden Hardman,
Yeah,
and I guess my friend watches and whatnot. But what I do, I'm a registered nurse, personal trainer, behavioral change specialist, and I
Mhm.
fitness is my whole world, and that's sort of what I've done with YouTube. But I've been fortunate to work with a friend named Holden, and we've done some completely out of left
Yeah.
field things. It's not really
Yeah.
in my world.
Well,
but it's been
good.
fun.
I'm glad to have you on the show today. Today's topic is about fitness and about exercise, so I'm glad to have you on to hopefully change some perceptions on that topic. So, I guess just right out of the gate, how did you initially get into fitness yourself?
I always feel like this is a unique answer, but then I sit there and I think about it, and I'm like, no, it's actually really universal. Like it's long story short, I was pretty physical in high school.
Oh, same.
I wrestled for 2 years and whatnot. But I was always a small guy. I was like, when I graduated high
Yep.
school, I was 130
Yep.
pounds, soaking wet, 5'8", and I long story short, I almost got jumped in a parking lot. I was walking in a parking lot. Was on the phone with my dad. I had flip flops on. I had glasses on. Just oblivious to the world, and there's a parking spot to the left of me, and as I'm walking, I feel something touching my right shin, and I look down and I was like, oh, it was the bumper of a car. And I was like, what? I didn't even process that someone almost just hit me. So I backed up and the car pulled through, and there was somebody in the back of the car that said some not so fun words to me, and in my ego I said some not so fun words back to that person, and they hopped out of the car and we squared up in the street. They were ready to throw down, and this guy had to be like 350
Oh
pounds.
gosh.
He could have killed me, and his friends ran up and stopped him, and I realized so quickly right then, I was like, oh, I'm so exposed right now. How naive am I? So I went in and I was like, hey, I need to file a report. I was assaulted in this parking lot, and they were like, you're gonna have to take that up with the local police department. And I was like, oh, okay. So nobody
Yeah.
gives a crap at all. Understood. Like it was very much a lesson of like, oh, nobody
Sweet. Yeah.
cares. Okay, that's cool. It was actually a beautiful
Sure.
lesson. It was a beautiful lesson for me. So the next day I got in the gym, and for 8 months straight, I went 5 days a week, some days 6 days a week with a good friend. And I was like, just get bigger, just get tougher. And that changed my brain chemistry. Something about it just changed me as a person. And fast forward, I was 19 at the time, and I turned 25, got into nursing school, realized I wanted to get into healthcare, did that, worked in an ICU, worked as a hospice nurse, saw a lot of death, to be honest with you. And I realized as an ICU nurse, 80% of the people that I took care of, it was all self-induced problems. It was diabetes, heart attack, this and that. Sure, 20% was,
Sure.
yeah, I got hit by a
Sure.
car, couldn't control it. But I saw so many things. I saw so many things that were
Mm,
reactive, a lack of proactivity, and I resented healthcare, to be honest with you. I started wondering, this person that has a tube down breathing for him that I'm doing CPR on and
mm,
giving drugs and keeping them alive, and I started wondering, am I helping or am I hurting this 98-year-old stage
right.
4 lung cancer grandmother that is being kept alive by her family? Like, it tormented me, which was weird because the pinnacle of my career, if I could become a
Mm,
ICU nurse, that was it, man.
yeah.
Like, that's awesome. All right, awesome. And I got there and it was nothing of what I expected. And that made me go even farther,
Mm.
even more into fitness, of that proactive, the proactive pieces that fitness can serve. Now
Would you say
I've
that
grown.
that was kind of a like a fear initiated type of thing, or?
Do you mean when I got almost got the crap kicked out of me in the parking lot?
Well, that and just seeing how all these people are whenever you're like you were just saying, like committing CPR to them, like was it just fear was initiating your motivation there? Or?
This is going to sound altruistic, but it's
Sure.
not. But I really saw ignorance,
Mm,
and you hear the term ignorance, and you think I'm insulting someone. What I mean is they simply do not know. And I
sure.
realized through fitness that I was like, oh my gosh, I can make a bigger, better, more impact as a trainer than I can
Mm,
as a nurse, as a cog in this system.
yeah.
Um, now I've grown up and I've now learned that no, there's a lot of great things about healthcare. So it sounds like I'm bashing
Sure.
healthcare. There's a lot of good things, but
Yeah.
there's good and bad with both. You know, so
Yeah. Yeah. Um. So you said you went straight to, was that really kind of like your first experience in the gym after that initial attack that you went through? Or had you kind of gone in and out of a gym before?
I a little bit. So I was
Okay.
19 when I really started, and like I was religious. I was to the point where
Okay.
I was too hardcore when I was starting out, but I was just mega passionate. But in
Okay.
high school, I had lifted weights. I think I had weightlifting, but I was always a small dude, and
Hmm.
I also had a gym membership one summer that I went to the gym by myself. I remember that vividly, and I appreciated it, but not to an extent of there's a real reason why I'm doing this, you know?
Okay.
So I guess I could say I built a little bit of confidence while I was in high school doing it, but man, when I
Hmm.
was 19, it came from a place of just feeling ignorant, exposed,
Hmm.
like not knowing, like it felt like a real taste of the world, you know, as
Hmm.
dramatic as that sounds.
Yeah. So as you're gaining knowledge throughout all this time, like when did you, I guess, feel confident in the knowledge that you have gained, um, to the point where you're now like, okay, I can now actually start teaching people what I know.
So when I was 19, I started, you know, really hardcore, and I was 26, almost 27. So
Hmm.
I had, you know, 8 years under my belt. And the way I viewed it was like, it's, you know, you asked that question. It's a great question. And I hear
Hmm.
that question. I'm like, I don't know if I really thought of it like, am I qualified or am I not? It was like,
Mm.
I'm going to go get the certification. And I was elated. I was like, oh, I passed. Heck yeah. Like I was
Yeah.
very happy. But it was much more of like, I'm going to put out two different types of content, and that is what I've learned and what I'm learning. You know, so it's
Gotcha.
not to say that I know it all, but I
Hmm.
guess I had a certain level of confidence now looking back of knowing I knew the basics at least. I knew some of the things that it took, and that
Yeah.
certification without a doubt, you know, told me, all right, yeah, it seems like, you know, at the lowest standard here, at the lowest standard of this governing body, you got what it takes, you know. So
Yeah.
um yeah,
It's sort of like oh gosh, what's the phrase I'm trying to think of? Like that master of none. I think like it's like where you
absolutely.
can like the industry is always changing or there's always something new you can pick up on. So you're never really a master or an expert at
Yeah.
something
I
that's
think is it
changing all the time.
jack of all trades, master of none, right?
Yeah, yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So how did fitness have an effect on you, beyond just the physical, obviously? Because I can say anytime that I've gone to the gym, or even gone on a run, even just like a walk, really, just a walk out in the sunshine, like mentally, it's just game changer. I don't know if I get that from just obviously vitamin D and fresh sunlight, but I do have to imagine that walking around and just actively doing something has something to do with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish that I could give the feeling that I have with fitness to people. I
Hmm.
respect fitness. I owe fitness so much. I appreciate fitness. I at times view fitness as almost a relationship.
Mm.
As corny as it sounds, I really do feel that it's my responsibility to give back the gift that I was given or found.
Yeah.
And I have been in the middle of lifting weights or doing something strenuous and have broke down crying because for me there is a active meditation that is going on with fitness. It is
Mm.
a There's something about forcing yourself to do something hard when no one else is forcing you to do that.
Yeah.
There is such a development there internally, sure physically, but upstairs there's
Mhm.
something that happens. I don't know what it is, but I can say for me on numerous occasions, and life was going good, everything was okay. Nothing should have made me cry.
Mhm.
And to this day, I still break down and cry every now and then because you could say it's a version of religion for me. And
Mm.
when I say it's a version of my religion, I don't mean like I go 7 days a week and it's hardcore and all that. What I mean is that I find peace, I find solace, I find good.
Yeah.
And um, how it's shaped me is ultimately the butterfly effect, which is it feels like a layup answer, but
Yeah.
I've learned that when you do hard things and when you keep coming back and doing hard things,
Mhm.
most of the time there's a reward on the other side of that.
Mm.
That's I think that's the best way I could put that, but it's
Gotcha.
changed me in so many ways. I recently, well, I guess it's been a little while. A little over a year ago, I picked up jujitsu, and I've been
Yeah.
wanting to I wanted to get back into martial arts for a long time,
Mhm.
and it happened. One of my probably the first one. It happened in the first 2 3 months. I reached a physical limit while I was rolling
Mm.
with someone and was just getting the dog crap kicked out of me, but I just kept pushing forward.
Yeah.
And after that match, my professor came up and said, that right there is what it takes to build champions."
Mm.
And we went through at the end of every class, you shake hands, high five, good job.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
right after that, I walked over to the corner of the mat, dropped to my knees, and started crying my eyes out. And
Mm.
I knew it was because of this, just pushing yourself to this limit that you just didn't even know was possible.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
it's shaped me in so many ways.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you expanded into fighting at all? Are you looking to join UFC or anything like that?
It's funny you asked that. I doing jujitsu. It's gotten me very interested in judo and a little bit of Muay Thai. Having said that, it's like getting hit in the head sucks.
Yeah.
That's best way to put it. And
I've never been punched by some dude in class and been like, "Oh man, do it again. I loved it."
yeah,
Yeah.
it's fun. Yeah, and I didn't realize how much you like take hits to the head doing jujitsu. And it's not
Oh
like,
yeah.
and nobody's punching you in the head, but you'll catch an elbow to the eye and whatnot. And
Oh yeah.
um,
I got a knee right to the bridge of my nose, and
there
man,
you
that
go.
that about shook me, man.
See, and here's a selfish side of me, totally taking away from the viewer here to the listener. How long you been rolling?
Uh, it about off and on for about maybe about the past like 5 months, really.
Oh, awesome! Oh, that's
So
wow. So
yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah,
Again, I could talk about that for hours, but good for you, man. That's awesome.
yeah. It's a lot of fun. You were talking briefly there about how like it's a religion for you. So I am curious. Would you really kind of consider yourself a spiritual person at all? And would you say that fitness or something like that? Because you even said like your gift or something like that, really. Do
Yeah.
you really see it as like a spiritual gift, really?
It is without a doubt a gift. Yeah, it was
Mhm,
without a doubt a gift. I hear the term spiritual, and at least my perspective of what spiritual means is this connection to a higher power or something like that. And
mhm,
fitness is, I guess I used to view fitness as like that's just this thing that people do, but I I believe in fitness, if that makes
mm,
sense. Like I believe in what fitness can do for people. So
sure.
I guess if there's any sort of spirituality about me, it would be for fitness.
Mhm.
Then just to clarify, when you say, "Am I a spiritual person?" Does that mean do I believe in a higher power or do I have religion?
Yeah,
Is that
higher power. I mean,
gotcha?
obviously, like I guess the most obvious would be God, but
There you
it
go.
doesn't
Yeah,
have to be really. Just anything really.
yeah. And just to clarify, so we're all in the so I can give you context. I believe there's some sort of higher power.
Hmm.
Beyond that, I got nothing there. And there are days where I sort of question, like, is this all for nothing?
Mm,
And I actually came to that conclusion of maybe a year ago. I was like, even if this is all for nothing, let's say there isn't a higher power or whatever, I would rather spend my time here that I have 75-ish years, whatever,
hmm.
doing good things through fitness, passing on that gift that I've been giving. If it's all
Sure.
meant for nothing, at least I'm doing some good stuff while I'm here. That's how I'd like to spend the time.
Yeah. Sure. Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, well, I mean, we've obviously been talking about it. Since you are a trainer, um, how does that relationship usually kind of start whenever you're with, whenever a client comes to you and says, "Hey, I want to learn something."
Good question. It's obviously different for every trainer. For me, I've always made sure I've led with empathy. I've
Mm,
never yelled at a client once because if you really think about it, getting yelled at is it might get you to do something, but you're doing it under duress.
oh yeah, my
You
dad.
know,
All he had to do was yell, and I
yeah,
done.
yeah,
Yep.
and it was done. It was done.
Yeah.
It's I have learned that a trainer trainee relationship is it's a give and take, and if if I meet them with any sort of demeanor or thing that's going to get them to put a wall up, I'm already screwing up their opportunity of success.
Mm,
So I guess I say that to say I ask them what does their history look like, what has worked in the past. I don't
mhm,
have the ego to say this is what we're doing, and if you don't do it this way, you're not going to succeed. I guess you would say that I lead with empathy,
mhm,
figure out what they really want. So most people want to lose weight or look good naked, but I like to I like to drive down why. Like what's the reason as why? Maybe it
mm,
is just I want to look good naked, but is that because you don't feel that you look good naked now? Is that because that you're trying to you're looking for a spouse? Is like what is the deeper meaning behind it? So I guess I empathy and digging down to their why. That's usually my first. Let's establish that because that helps me
mhm.
figure out what's the best way. Like what plan do we really need to make? Because if I just say
Sure.
go run 6 days a week and lift weights every single morning and eat nothing but broccoli, and that's not really what you want to be doing,
Yeah.
you're not going to do it,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's pointless. So meeting them where they're at, I should have just put it that way.
Okay. Yeah. Um, is it hard to break down the initial barrier with them to try to figure out maybe what works best with them? Because I'm sure that some clients have probably come to you and have been a little maybe on the fence or maybe a little guarded about their diet or their current workout situation if they do all that type of stuff. So is it kind of hard to really kind of develop that trust?
I don't want to speak for every person on the planet, but
Mhm.
I feel like in my career, I can't really remember anyone that I was not able to get through to or be able to talk about those sensitive subjects.
Mhm.
And I think that's because I lend myself to understanding that it's not going to be perfect and knowing that they probably already have some shame around their diet already, or they feel that they're not eating correctly. So with all that said, I think what is tough at times is to figure out the why, or why they're eating the way they're eating.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say it's just, no, it's a cakewalk every time. Like, everybody has
Yeah.
their own walls and barriers for sure, but
Hmm.
it's it's achievable with time and practice and the more comfort that they have with me. Like, the first
Hmm.
call is very much like, what do you want to, what are you shooting for? Who are you? Who am I? Let's get
Hmm.
comfortable, type of thing. So, yeah, takes time.
Yeah. Do you ever find yourself training yourself with your own personal goals at times?
Absolutely. I am
Okay.
always, I am constantly an experiment.
Okay.
And
I like that.
oh
Constantly
my
an
gosh,
experiment.
yeah. And
Yeah.
the trainer that trained me, Corey Bennett, love him to death. If you see this, good sir, I love you. He told me, never have your client do something you haven't done. And I
Mm.
fully agree. I fully agree.
Yeah.
Um, how can you instruct on something you've never done?
True.
And I actually had my own experiment that I put a lot of time and effort into, of eating nothing but fast food for a long time to lose some
Yeah.
weight. And I've gone through a lot of different body transformations. I've tried keto. I've tried, uh, you name it, I've probably tried it. So
Hmm.
me being an experiment is still happening to this day because I'm still learning.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that photo of you that you had, I think you said it was like 2022 or 23. You're like 5% body fat and just absolutely jacked. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's interesting because when I took those documentation photos of when I intentionally got fat,
Hmm.
it was, in my head, I was like, this is so cool to see such a different side of me.
Yeah.
And as I was having that thought, I was like, most people that aren't like obsessed with fitness and love fitness would be like, you have your mind. This is horrible. So, like, I think it's those little things that always lends perspective for
Hmm.
me.
Yeah. Yeah. So the documentary that you did is on YouTube.
Yeah,
But before we kind of get to it, I want to know how you first got into YouTube and how that journey kind of took off for you.
sure. Yeah. I was 9 years old with the old school VHS camera that was the size of a suitcase that you'd put on your shoulder.
Put on
And
your shoulder. Yeah. Yeah.
I was shooting stuff all the time as a kid. I was always just infatuated with the camera, and knowing that you could document what'll never be again was
Yeah.
just baffling to me. So I
Wow.
filmed Christmases and me and my friends jumping off roofs and stuff like that. And I would
Yeah.
I would edit it with Windows Movie Maker back then. And uh, from 9 until 15, I was doing that. And then I did it throughout my adult life too, but never had a real reason to keep doing it. And
Hmm.
then I started my business in 2017 and was like, man, what a great way to market your business, but to put content out. So
Yeah.
it, it served me to keep doing it. And I actually, before I went to nursing school, I looked into going into, I was going to get an art degree. I went to the Art Institute of Tampa to check and see if that's what I wanted to do, and realized
Yeah.
I didn't want my art to become a job. And
Uh,
but lo and
yeah.
behold, years later, I come back around, and multimedia is a cornerstone of my business.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's a cornerstone of our society, really, as well.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah,
you
without
can't go
question.
anywhere without some type of ad screaming at you in the face. So,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That was
So,
that was that was the start of YouTube, and
yeah.
it's been fun ever since, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And you said it at the beginning of the pod here, but uh, Holden Hardman, and you had the whole My Friend Watches series, and then from there, would you say that kind of helped you grow your audience a little bit, or
It
um,
did. It did. I mean, it did, especially at the time.
okay,
In 2020, his channel got really popular, and that bled over to my channel as well. And then I
sure,
found that it was interesting because once we took a step back from My Friend Watches, I found myself trying to figure out, like, am I putting out good stuff or am I
Mm.
not? Because I had this audience that came over from one thing that they knew, which was My Friend Watches, over to
Yeah.
this other channel, which is mine, of like, hey guys, today I'm going to tell you how to meal prep broccoli. You know, like,
Yeah.
it's obviously a much different thing than what they signed up for. So I've had
Sure.
a bit of a uh, inflated sense of, I guess, numbers, you know? So it actually made me start thinking like, oh crap, maybe I suck at what I do. Maybe this isn't good. So while it
Mm.
did absolutely bring people over, and I've met a lot of incredible people through YouTube,
Yeah.
it's been an interesting little ride to be like, you know, it's taught me a lot, I guess, to make sure you're serving the people that are watching you. You know, it's made me shift and adapt.
Mhm.
So it's been fun.
Yeah. So you had a huge build in subscribers. How did you, I guess, manage that initially? Like, was it kind of like, oh crap, like I have a bunch of people I have to entertain, or was it like, I'll make content and I don't really care what they
Yeah,
think?
it's I used to say, and you'll see it in my content. I used to say that I don't care what people think. Nah, like I don't believe in that. The truth is, I don't let it dictate my life what people think.
Mm.
But
Mhm.
I'm not going to stand up right now and take my pants down. You know, like there's a little bit of ego there, I guess.
Who's that?
Um, there's a little bit of ego there, I guess. You know, it was
Yeah.
there. I put a lot of pressure on myself because I was like, there is a lot of people here.
Yeah.
I hope I can deliver.
Mm.
Caveat: I'm not gonna start doing My Friend Watches content here exclusively just to appeal to the numbers that are here or to grab a dollar, you know. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay who I am. Granted, you know, I'll talk about Wolverine's workout and meal plan, sure.
Sure.
Um, so yeah, I guess there was some adaptation, and there was, yeah, I felt pressure for sure because I wanted, you know, truth be told, like that's what I want. The person that is watching, like, as corny as it sounds, like I want to reach them. I want to help them,
Yeah.
and that's what I hope I can do. So yeah.
Yeah. I know that some of the content that you have was like BTS of those
Yes.
My Friend Watches nights. Do you think that that kind of helped with that sort of bleed over to kind of like coax people like, yes, I'm still doing my thing, but
Yep.
if you're here for that,
For sure. Yeah. You
okay.
know, and I think there's such a fine line of, or maybe I'll just say it, finding balance too, because
Mm.
I realized that, like, I at times I questioned. I was like, "This isn't fitness behind this. The BTS behind the scenes. This isn't fitness." But I was like, "It's not. Yes, but what does that do? Will it allow that person out there that thinks I'm just this douchebag that wears tight T-shirts, uh, that just hates Star Wars, or will it lend? And will it lend some perspective of, you know, who I am behind the camera? Maybe because there's this parasocial relationship that we have with people, whether we realize it or not.
Mm.
Whatever creators you watch, you develop this story in your head of who they are, and
Yeah.
you're dead wrong. Whatever you think it is, you're wrong because you can't know what they are off camera. Like, I might be a
Right.
total jerk off camera. You have no idea, good sir. But so that's the way I looked at it. I was like, what relationship will this build for them to
Mm.
maybe have them come back, and then they'll see a video of my fitness pal that I put out, or I do a meal prep video and that helps them. So I looked at
Yeah.
it as a gateway.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And I do got to ask you, has your opinion of Star Wars changed at all?
Uh, I think it's only been confirmed. Like, it just seems like everybody hates it even more now. Now it's pretty much the same. It really is.
Pretty much the same.
I'll give you this olive branch though,
Okay.
that we didn't use a sound bar whenever we were watching those Star Wars in that original video. And when
Okay.
we got a sound bar, it was impressive how much better the audio quality was. And I kind of
Mm.
wonder if I could go back and put a sound bar in there, would I? Because I remember specifically being like, oh, the noises are so loud and it's shrieking. And I understand most people are like, oh, he's an idiot and he can't handle flashing lights. But it's like, I think it seriously was a quality sound issue. That
Yeah,
definitely did not help. So
sure, sure.
that's the olive branch.
Yeah. Gotcha. So the documentary, um, so I guess I'll just let you kind of sell it here a little bit
Sure.
to the audience, because I've watched it twice and I'm baffled
Thank you.
by how you took 8 months, is that correctly, to kind of just balloon up and gain 50 pounds, or
10 months.
10 months? Okay,
Yeah.
all right, and then you were
Yeah.
determined to lose it all by doing nothing but just eating fast food.
Yeah. So I had a client named Jordan, and I've worked with many people that, wanted to lose weight, drop fat, all that.
Hmm.
And I'm fortunate. I've always been a leaner dude. Like I said, I was 130 pounds soaking wet at 5'8" when I was 19 years old.
Hmm.
And the first 8 months of working out, I gained 30 pounds. So not all that was muscle. Like there was a lot of fat I'd thrown on. But when I saw
Hmm.
that body transformation, it changed a lot for me. And with that said, I'd never been overweight. I had always been a quote unquote fit guy. And
Hmm.
as I talked to clients, we would go over behavior change and habits and, let's make sure we're eating enough protein, all the stuff you've probably heard.
Yeah.
But I started wondering, I was like, am I an imposter? Like, how can you instruct on this if you've never really felt what it feels like to be in their shoes?
Yeah.
And I could not shake that feeling. Like it came in
Mm.
my head one day when I was talking to a client, and that was Jordan. And Jordan said one day, "Do you think you could tell me what I eat a lot of fast food? He's busy, has a job, and travels. He's like, do you think you could tell me what meals I should get at fast food restaurants?" And I was like, "That's a great
Mm.
idea. Yeah, that's a great idea." And then that started to grow with like, well, it's not really what you eat at McDonald's. It's, if you're trying to lose fat, it's the amount of calories that you're eating at McDonald's.
Right.
And that sort of just started culminating from this. I'm going to make him the top 5 restaurants that he goes to and just tell him to get the lower calorie option,
Hmm.
to wait a minute, that could be something. That could be something that I could make for him,
And
which
it triggered you right
it
there.
was a bit of a light bulb that I was like, that could be something. That could be an experiment. And I was like, oh my God, that's my answer right there.
Yeah.
What if I took the worst, quote unquote, worst way possible to lose weight and showed him you could do that. And I was like, I could use that for every client I ever have.
Yeah.
And so I started doing that. I was like, all right, I'm gonna hit 50 pounds. At first it was 25, but I was like, 25, who cares? 50 just sounds sexier, to be honest with you. And it's definitely tougher. Like it was a piece of me was like, oh God, that's gonna suck. I'm gonna feel terrible. And I'm glad that that's the number it was, because it was a lot and I felt horrible. It was rough. Um,
Hmm.
but then as I was getting towards the end, I was like, yeah, I'm going to do the fast food to try to lose the weight. I was like, holy crap, this is exactly what it could be. This could be a book as well. So I simultaneously was shooting the documentary and writing the book, and then they both
Mm.
sort of culminated together. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It
Um,
was
it was
Jordan
heavy.
okay with, I guess, being like the, I guess, quote, inspiration or kind of guinea pig to the
Yes.
experiment a little bit, or
Off camera. Yes, I have asked him. He was cool. Yeah.
okay.
Uh, yeah. Yeah. No, it was cool because he was actually like, oh man, I'm honored. That's cool. And
Yeah.
yeah, it was cool. It came full circle. And when it was time to release the book, I was like, hey, remember that thing you asked for forever ago? Here it is. I made him a little simple five restaurant version that I gave to him a few weeks after he asked. But I was like, here, this is the thing I really wanted to give you.
Yeah. Gotcha. Gotcha. I don't know about some of my viewers, but I like to read. Um,
Okay.
and I know that for some people reading is a little challenging. So does your book at least have pictures? Um,
Yes, pop up pictures and everything. I get it, guys. Trust me, I
yeah.
totally understand. Um, yeah, there's definitely some images and what in it and whatnot. And actually, with that book, I think it's 256 pages. And
Okay.
what I wanted to make sure I did with that book is I'm an audiobook type of person. Uh,
Hmm.
in the best case scenario, listening and reading, that's where I absorb the most.
Okay.
But I wanted this to be a guidebook. I did not want this to be a novel of like, organic lettuce is actually the best option for you, but based on the GMOs, like
Sure.
I did not want it to be that. I wanted it to be like, this is for the person that is not really, they're not down with dieting. They don't give a crap about fitness. Like, give me
Mm.
something that works. And so a lot of the book is menus. Like a lot of the book
Cool.
is me going through and picking out the quote unquote better options, which
Yeah.
all that means is the lower calorie, higher protein options.
Sure.
Um, because I didn't want it to be, hey, you just eat chicken breasts from Chick-fil-A and you're straight. You'll lose. Like I no, like I
Yeah.
picked the top 50 restaurants and like I made sure that I included the the big names like
Hmm.
the Whataburger, Big Mac, all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you get any flack by any of the like a letter or anything from any of those companies? Like, have they reached out to you, be like, "Hey, you can't use our logo" or anything like
Great.
that?
Well, that's a great question. I consulted a lawyer before I did this
Oh,
to
sweet,
clarify. Yeah, no, I was
sweet.
not. I was not going to open myself up for that. So
Okay.
there is not actual trademark information in there, such as logos and whatnot. But all of the menus I made by hand. I went and got the actual information. It was over 4,000 pieces of data, and it took forever. But I
Wow.
wanted to make sure that I didn't open myself up for a lawsuit. This was all public information, and I thought to
Yeah,
myself, I was
sure.
like, wait a minute. Is this a jerk move? Am I charging people for a book that they can Google this information for? And I was
Mm,
like, well, no, because yeah, sure, anybody can do that, but
yeah.
nobody's doing it. So why not put that into a book and use it as a guidebook, use it as a tool? Like I picture
Sure.
people in the drive-through and be like, "All right, what can I get? I'm here at McDonald's." And I've actually had people tell me that's what they do. One girl's like, "I keep it in my purse for when I go to fast
Wow.
food." And I was like, "That's awesome. That's
They
exactly what I
actually
it's
stop and
great."
we'll like flip to like page
Yeah.
200 or something. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What can I eat today? Yeah.
Exactly.
um, you state in the documentary, um, because I don't want to really give too much away, in regards to, because I obviously I want people to uh hear us talk about it and then go watch it for themselves. But
All good.
you do state in the documentary, um, a lot in the beginning that you do not want the viewers to duplicate this experiment.
Correct.
Um, were you nervous or fearful at all for what this would be doing to you, because you've been this, scrawny guy and now you're a fit guy, lean, and were you ever nervous like, man, I don't know what this is going to end up doing to me actually?
Great question. And the when I gained the weight over the course of that 10 months and saw the blood work. When I saw the blood work, I was like, "Oh wow, this is this is bad. This is really bad." And
Right.
to clarify, when you go watch a documentary and if you get the book, there's I get blood work done regularly enough to be able to compare and show that there's changes that happen.
Right.
And after I gained that 50 pounds and then saw my blood work, I was like, "Holy crap! Like
What
this is
was the
bad."
biggest like difference that you saw?
Do you mean like actual numbers of blood work,
Yeah,
or do
yeah,
you mean
numbers, whatnot. Yeah.
the lipid panel? So, and for anybody who doesn't know, that's the cholesterol, the triglycerides, the HDL, LDL, all that. Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Okay.
these numbers were sky high. I mean, just
Gotcha.
really bad. And the well, and then testosterone took a hit as well. That was weird,
Mm,
because I'm a 35-year-old male. I've been fortunate. I'm fit. I don't have any problems with that. Like I do all the quote unquote right things to where my testosterone should be at a good point, but
sure.
it was in the toilet, and I was like, this is crazy. Like this is crazy because
What could have chemically had an effect on testosterone like that?
great question. And in the documentary, I actually talked to people that know what they're talking about and
Yeah.
hormone specialists and whatnot. Specifically, that nurse practitioner was saying that when your triglycerides are so high, it can press that testosterone down. And,
Wow.
ultimately what we're talking about is just increased adiposity. You just have more body fat. It's just more for the body to have to work on.
Mhm.
Your blood has to be pumped through more road work than it had to beforehand. It's just tougher on the body.
I kind of I thought it would have had something to do with, well, now I'm bigger, I'm fatter, and I don't feel good in my skin, so that affects the confidence, and because that affects the confidence, that's what brought down the testosterone.
For the mental aspect, and
Yeah.
you never know. That definitely could be. It's a good question. I continued to work out while I gained that 50 pounds.
Hmm.
And in the documentary, you'll see that I go around town with a sign on my chest and back asking people,
Yeah.
is it possible to lose weight eating only fast food? And everyone's question to me was, well, are you working out? And
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I understand why, but it just showed me like just the misconception of what people think. And just knowing that I was working out the whole time of that 10 months and I still gained 50 pounds, I was like, this alone should be such a loud statement to so many people. But, you know,
Mm.
due to social media and due to there being an ocean of misinformation and good information,
Yeah.
it's exhausting to figure out what's true and what's not. Why do they believe this guy versus the other guy,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it opened
Yeah.
my eyes to a lot.
Yeah. Was there ever during your street walks someone that you could not include on the dock just because of just how outrageous it kind of got? They saw a camera and were like, "Oh,
Yes, we carefully edited a few things. I'll put it that way. We found somebody that I didn't realize, but found somebody that was actually hammered drunk. And I didn't realize it until we were already rolling. So I just had to go with it. I'm like, well, fix it in post. We'll see what
yeah,
happens. And then had one guy that said some obscenities and whatnot that we edited cleverly. That was just, yeah. It's surprising. You wouldn't think that on a Friday night with a bunch of alcohol downtown that you'd find any sort of inappropriate things. Yeah, it was hilarious. It was.
uh, during your street walks, was there ever someone that actually kind of like surprised you with their knowledge at all? It's like you're like standing there with the mic, like, oh shit, like
Yeah.
they kind of know some stuff. Like,
I was baffled by two things.
yeah.
One, I couldn't believe how many people said it's all about calories. That's what you need to focus on, and that it was a
Mhm.
simple answer. That was it, and I was like,
Yeah.
huh. And then I got people that would go sort of both ways with it, and they'd be like, well, it's all about calories, but based on how many carbs you eat, if you eat healthy foods and if it's organic and whatnot, then you're
Yeah.
good. So it was like it felt like I couldn't tell, were they playing both sides of the fence because they didn't want to appear wrong on camera? Is that
Mm,
what they really believed? Is that what they just heard from some fitness influencer? Is that everything they heard? So it
yeah.
was so interesting because my perception, I keep using that word, my perception was, a lot of people don't understand that it's just about a calorie deficit. And
Mhm.
I found a lot of people did. And then I also found that a lot of people didn't know what the hell they were talking about, which makes total sense.
Yeah.
And then it started making me realize I was like, oh damn, a lot of people even know the basic, simple, easy science, but they're just not using it. And I was like,
Yeah.
holy crap. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was really those two big things. Yeah.
Yeah. There was one guy. Um, you were doing something funny with his edit. I forget what he said his name was, but because I was waiting for somebody to bring it up, and I knew someone was, but I was waiting. Were Chad Ochocinco. Um,
Yes.
Chad Ochocinco was notorious for being a huge McDonald's lover
Yeah.
and had it like every day, almost every day.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's like this shredded wide receiver, so
Yeah.
a lot of people kind of just I guess accompanied him intensely working out.
Yep.
Like, oh, McDonald's has no effect on him because of how
Yep.
much more calories he's putting out. So
Yeah, yeah, exactly, and that's ultimately what we were talking about in that when I remember exactly that point in the documentary you're talking about.
Yeah.
We cut out some of the footage just because it was a long interview with that person, but he said that he was like Chad Ochocinco, like he can eat McDonald's every single day and he's good. And I brought up the
Yeah.
point. I was like, got it, understood. Do you think that's because he has such high output? And he was like, you got a point there, yeah. So like I think that's what you're talking about right there.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yep.
The metabolism and everything, how did that kind of affect you? Because I'm sure after working out so much, like you're burning up or you're burning up, you're gaining a lot of metabolism and burning all those calories because you're staying active and you're being active almost every day, if not every day.
Yeah.
So did that kind of slow down over time, or was that still roughly the same where it was like, okay, so maybe I need to eat more to gain this weight?
Yeah. So yeah, ultimately, I mean, it sounds like what you're saying is like how difficult was it for me to gain the weight?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So the first 15 pounds, cakewalk, threw it on easily. It wasn't tough at all. It
Okay.
was, and to clarify, what did I eat? I ate all the stuff that I normally eat, and then I just ate more of it. And then
Okay.
after the first 15 pounds, it was like, it was started to slow up a little bit. After I probably gained 15 pounds in less than 5 months, probably
Wow.
maybe 3 months I would bank on, maybe.
Yeah.
And then after that, I was like, okay, I need to start throwing some intentionally higher calorie foods in that is, quote
Hmm.
unquote junk food. So I would be, I'd hit Little Debbie's and, I would, I'd start going after the foods that people typically pig out on.
Yeah.
Coincidentally enough, it never really was fast food actually. But I would start getting things like that were higher calorie. And
Yeah.
then I hit around from that, I think I was able to jump off to maybe up to 40 pounds. Like
Okay.
I put on 40 pounds. The last 10 pounds was really tough to put on, and I was really starting to feel miserable.
Yeah.
But I leaned on liquid calories for that last 10 pounds because
Okay.
I was like, I'm eating so much food, like volume of food,
Yeah.
that I was like, liquid calories. I mean, it got me there. It really
Yeah.
got me there for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, you mentioned in the documentary that having a partner is really crucial to your weight loss journey that you were going through, but also everybody else's kind of really,
Yeah.
whether it be a spouse or a friend. Um, First of all, I just got to say, your wife probably one of the funniest people I've ever seen. The documentary, any time that she said something, it was hilarious every single time.
She, and I wish I would say I'm smart enough to script that, but that was all off the cuff with her. That was all her, nothing to do with me. I think she just knows me so well, and she knows how to put those jabs in. And I agree, it's hilarious. Like
Yeah,
I've probably been told that more than like people. Like I love the documentary. It's mainly like your wife is hilarious, and yeah, it was a lot of fun with her, to be honest with you.
yeah,
It was she has always grounded me because I have goofy side, like a goofy side to me, but I also have like this very serious side of me,
mm,
and she respects it, but she
yeah,
is not about it. Like she's very much like I don't, like I have a shirt. I'm wearing a shirt right now that says perspective. I make my own shirts and whatnot. I have one that says driven on it.
yeah.
Driven. Like I'm a driven person.
Okay,
Every single time I put it on, she's like, "Hey, you going out driving?" And it crushes my spirit every time. And that's just the she's hilarious. She was funny, but I totally lost train of thought just talking about how cool
no,
my
no, no.
wife
Yeah, you're
is.
fine. No, I was talking about how having a partner, whether it's
Yes,
a
yeah,
spouse or a friend, like, and you even had some friends working out with you too.
hmm
Um, I mean, obviously, your wife giving you support, and I'm sure that sense of humor of hers was really
yeah.
nice to have. But what did you kind of notice from the support and what it meant from her and what it meant from your friends and how that really did kind of affect you? Because you also said in the doc too that a lot of the foods were, or not the foods really, but it's just the overall behavior you were
Yeah.
noticing in yourself, the anxiety, and you were getting kind of headaches. Like how did
Yeah.
all of that support come in and help you?
I think a big thing was confirmation from some people. So
Confirmation. Okay.
yeah, and I'll expound. So Jenna, like, she's gained weight and lost weight, and there was one morning I woke up when I was gaining the weight, and I was like, oh, I just got out of bed, and I was like, oh, my feet hurt so bad. Holy crap, that's weird. I don't
Mhm.
know, like maybe I slept wrong or stubbed my toe. I don't know. I had no idea, but my feet were hurting, and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
whatever. And then there was one day we were walking upstairs, she and I, and I'd walked these stairs many times in my life, but I reached the like platform of the first flight of stairs and was like, I
Mhm.
had to stop. I was like, what the hell is
Wow.
this? And she was like, yeah, you know your underwear flipping down and your shortness of breath and your feet hurting in the morning? I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. She's like,
Yeah.
you're fat. And I was like, oh. It was just it sounds so silly, but for
Yeah.
me I was like, that okay, I get it. And those were these little moments that shined a light that told me how much pain people are in on a daily basis.
Mm.
And I was like, oh my God. And it gave me it made me sad, but it also made me like, yes, okay, now I know what it feels like. Now this is going to help me talk to my clients. It's going to make me not like pound my chest. I know too, I'm going to be able to relate more. I'm going to be able to understand.
Mm.
And so her confirmation and her support. So to clarify, the documentary was only supposed to be, I was only supposed to do it for 30 days. Originally, I was like, all right, for 30 days, I'm only eating fast food. I did the classic YouTuber intro and all that. And when we
Yeah.
were getting to that 30-day mark, I was talking to my editor. We were reviewing the footage every day, and he was like, you need to do 60. You need to double this.
Oh wow. Okay, so it was him kind of pushing you then.
He was reviewing the footage, and he was like, you need to do 60. And
Wow.
immediately I had this thought in my head of, oh God, no, this is terrible. This is horrible. I want to stop. I want to be done. I'm 3 days from
Yeah.
stopping this. And that very thought, I was like, that discomfort, that's why I need to do it.
Yeah.
And I
Mm.
actually, so I went to Jenna and I was like, hey, uh, what do you think about, like, I need to push this to 60 days. And I
Yeah.
realized I was like, one, it's going to give me more perspective. It's going to show me more. There's potentially going to be more dramatic results.
Mhm.
It's really going to show me what it's like even more so. Rather than just dipping my toe into it, I'm dipping up to the ankle. I guess I'll say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it did. It without a doubt, it felt different those last 30 days compared to the first 30 days. And
Mhm.
but that was all because of her and her support. Granted, she got a
Yeah.
fridge out of it, but neither here nor there. Um, I had friends that I worked out with in the documentary, and one guy's named Dwayne. And in the documentary, he says, "Man, you're crazy, man. You're always doing something." And I was. I was glad to hear that. And when he says that, what he means is because I did a potato video where I ate nothing but potatoes for 14
Yeah.
days and
Yeah.
whatnot. So like he's always seeing that, and I'm always telling him about what I'm doing and whatnot. And when he told me that, I was like, that's good. That makes me happy to hear because that means I'm doing the things I should be doing or the things I shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
That's making me learn more. And so hearing my dad say, as your father, I want you to get back to a normal diet. Those were all the things that I knew. I was like,
Mhm.
I was told it was like, why would you do that? That's crazy. And my first thought was, this is what people do every day. Like,
Wow.
why are
Yeah.
you not telling them they're crazy for it? Like, it
Yeah.
just, the support that I had around me and actually the lack of support I had around me it opened a lot of doors in my head that I didn't think was even going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Has your dad always been a little bit of a tough love kind of guy?
No, he's a complete softie.
Oh,
Total
really?
softie. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. But he, like I'm 35 years old. You
Yeah.
can probably see I have a little bit of blonde in my hair. I like change. I'm okay with change. I don't have to have the same thing over and over, but he's
Yeah.
definitely much more of like, I walked to school through the snow. I came back with $800 and left with $4,000. Like just very old
Yeah.
school. And he's okay with things staying the same, and I love that change. So I think for him, he was just like, "Well, can you just be normal? Can you just calm down?" So I think that's sort of where it came from.
Yeah. I'm curious to know, because this actually just popped up into my head. Um, Whenever people are really like fit and lean and on the beach, they're getting looks. People are looking
Sure.
at them. Men are like, "Man, I want to be that." Women are like, "Oh, I want to sleep with that."
Yeah.
Did you notice any looks towards you that were maybe a little bit more judgmental from complete strangers?
Joke's on you guys. Most of like when you're getting fit and you're going to the gym
Mhm.
and whatnot, most of the time you end up attracting other guys that are just like, "Dude, you look fantastic, man. Just trying to look like you, bro. You look good." Usually
Yeah.
women, it's like, they're like, "Oh, that's too much." So joke's on you guys. Now, having said that, yes, without question,
Mhm.
I there's no way I can say this without sounding conceited, but it is what it is. I'm a fit person, and
Mhm.
I if I was ever at the beach, I would maybe get a look or two. Like people weren't busting down the doors to take a look, but yeah, I'd seen that, so I knew
Mhm.
what that look was in the past. And when I gained the weight, none of that. Like
Yeah.
I didn't sense that. I didn't feel that. I didn't get that.
Hmm.
And there are people that I work with that I don't even think they know. But
Mm.
I felt a little bit of, "You're not there. You're not there." And
Mm.
it is what it is. People like to be around attractive people. I mean,
Yeah.
and uh, actually, I was talking to, this is along the same lines. I was talking to Jenna about this. She stopped wearing as much makeup as she used to, and she used to wear a
Mm.
lot of makeup. And she told me, and this is obviously a unique female perspective that I can't have, but she told me, she was like, "When
Yeah.
I stopped wearing as much makeup, doctors that I worked with or staff that she worked with stopped interacting with her as much." And I was like, "Holy hell." She was like,
Wow.
"That's the only thing I changed." And these are people she'd worked with for years. And I was like,
Wow.
"Holy crap." So I
Yeah.
remembered that conversation I had with her, and I sort of started noticing some of those things.
Yeah.
Um, Not that, people were like kicking me out of the way, "Get out of the way, you bastard." But it was more like, there was something about the way they interacted with me that was different. And then that made me think, I was like, "Man, what would that be like if that was every single day, to not be seen, to be
Mm.
in the shadows, to be completely out there and in the public, but to never be seen?" And I was like, "Damn,
Wow.
that leads itself to depression and anxiety and lack of confidence." And it makes
Yeah.
so much sense. There was just so many things that swirled around me that I didn't see happening, that were light bulbs of like, this is why people that are overweight want to eat more. That's their escape. They're in pain, they hurt. So what do?
Yeah.
They just medicate it more with that food, and
Yeah.
it's a vicious cycle. So
Yeah.
taught me a lot.
Yeah. Because in the doc, you were actually making it a point to say like it's super accessible, and like you were actually starting to be super empathetic and be like, I get why people do this. Like,
Yeah.
I'm enjoying this food. It's easy to get.
Yeah. There's something about the gamification, about the apps of these fast food restaurants.
Oh yeah, I'm addicted to DoorDash. I
Holy
probably
crap,
shouldn't be,
dude.
but
The retention, like, I can
yeah,
see how good a job they're doing. Like, if you do just a little bit of homework about Amazon, like
yeah,
Amazon's obviously massive because of what they do,
right.
but the gamification on that app and how they keep you there, and the suggestion here, and like,
Hmm.
that is all designed. There's billions of dollars that get poured into that. So
Yeah,
because I had, honest to God, never used any of those apps, when I saw these apps, I was like, Jesus Christ, holy crap. Like, it was legit exciting. I was like, I get a free muffin if I shop here twice a week. It was like, it's crazy. It was just baffling. Yeah,
yeah.
the accessibility was, I don't know. I just to know how many different ways you can order ahead. You can edit
Mhm.
A burger at Whataburger? I didn't know that. Like, I knew you could say take off the lettuce, but you can put on extra pickles if you want. It's just,
Yeah.
it's crazy. It's really
Yeah.
is crazy.
Yeah. One of my favorite things, if I ever go in anywhere, I'm not really a big stranger person. I'm somewhat of an introvert. So I
Okay,
always just, if a kiosk is open, I always go and place my order in the
got it.
kiosk.
Okay,
Yeah. Um, was that something that you took full advantage of, or
I'm
not?
trying to think of it now. When you say a kiosk, I just pictured like checking out at a grocery store. How
Oh
you have to
no,
check yourself out.
like the big ass iPads that they've got in like Taco Bell or something like that. You
Oh
walk
yeah, yeah,
in.
yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, I did my best to utilize every option to order the fast food.
Okay.
I
Okay.
so I did DoorDash, friggin' nightmare. I I ordered ahead and picked it up. I ordered ahead, picked it up through the drive. Oh, come on, Matt. Ordered ahead, picked it up through the drive-through. Ordered ahead, picked it up in the actual restaurant.
Yeah.
I used the app for one day. I remember I ordered something a day before. So I ordered it like today I placed the order and I picked it up tomorrow. Like I tried to really use as many options that I had for me. And yes, it was very accessible and there was a lot of options,
Mm-hmm.
but it ended up being a headache a lot of the time, to be honest with you. Like it was really just like, the order was wrong, or the order, like I walk in to pick it up off of the stand thing. I'm like, hey, am I good to go? Am I going to get arrested
Yeah.
if I walk out not showing you that I have it? So it was a bit of a headache at times, not going to lie to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you ever have trouble with any of the orders at all, or?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm kind of the person. It's not right or wrong. It is what it is. I feel like I'm going to order what I'm going to order, and I hope I get what I ordered because I'm
Yeah.
unwilling to send it back. Um,
Same.
I wish I could send it back, but I don't know what orifice it'll be rubbed on by the time I get it back. And just because you don't screw with the people that handle your food. That's just
Yeah. No.
not willing to mess with
No.
that. But yeah, there's some places that didn't quite get the order made, get the order right. But it honestly wasn't like, oh man, it's happening every single time when I go to McDonald's, or it's happening consistently across the board. Most of the time
Where's
it
my
was,
Walmart?
yeah,
Yeah.
no, most of the time it was pretty consistent and spot on. It was,
Yeah.
which I was surprised about.
Yeah.
Not everybody can be Chick-fil-A.
Hey, Chick-fil-A, man.
Yeah, they've got it down to
That's
a
up
science.
there. So you talked about just being surprised just now. So what was, I guess, the most surprising thing that you learned throughout the documentary by the time you got to the end? Because uh, I mean, it's obvious by the end of the documentary, you were surprised by the labs mostly. Was that really the most like kind of surprising thing, or was it just like the overall experience of like you were saying, like the empathy and everything, like all that sort of stuff? Like,
Man, I narrowing it down to one is so tough, but I will say that yeah, the labs, the metabolic condition that I was in compared to 1 year before
yeah,
was I my labs had never, like, I never had labs out of whack. Now, I mean, sure, if I ever had an infection or something like that, or if I was sick with pneumonia, sure, my labs are out of whack. But what
sure.
I mean is the things that I can control, such as my triglycerides and all that, they had never in my life been out of whack. So reading about healthcare and fitness and understanding, like, all right, you eat too many calories and this is what can happen metabolically, and if you're a diabetic this is what happens. But
Mhm.
getting to the end of that and it being your reality was like, this is real. Like, this
Mm,
actually happens. Like, I just put myself through a case study of what happens to a lot of people, and this is their everyday life. And I was just baffled by my condition. I was baffled by the labs. I was baffled by the what was disguised as convenience was
Mm,
really a gigantic headache. And
mm,
when I say that, I guess what I mean is like, when I dealt with the DoorDash, all respect to the DoorDash person, this is not pointing a finger at them. If somebody's delivering your food to you, I mean, come on. I mean, you sort of gonna get what you get, But
yeah. Yeah.
they for some reason they couldn't find my where I was having it dropped off at, and then I was trying to communicate with them through the app, and then it just uh, there was just like when I constantly had to just think about it. Every single meal you have for 60 days,
Yeah.
you got to go pick it up every single day. And I was like, this is not outlandish for some people. And it was
Yeah.
baffling to me to realize that people did that. And I'm a psycho.
Mm,
I put all my food in Tupperware for 2 weeks and don't cook for 2 weeks. So
yeah.
the lack of convenience for me was a nightmare. And for most people, why I say it was disguised as convenience is because that's all they know. So,
Mm,
preparing your own food ahead of time, having it in the fridge and whatnot, like it's incredibly convenient. My wife has actually said meal prepping is the laziest way to eat. Like
wow.
once you have it made and it's sitting there in the fridge or freezer, you just heat it up and eat it. So
Yeah.
it was
It's like popping in a what are they called? Like a lean cuisine or something
there you
like
go.
that.
Same
Yeah.
concept. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so I think that lack of understanding of that. And then
Mhm.
I also realized, again, couldn't give you one, apologies. Um, I also realized throughout this process that, and I don't know why, people don't have their hormones checked often enough.
Really?
And this is going to sound like I'm about to pitch you a supplement. I'm not. What I'm saying is that I've been a healthy adult male my entire life. I've been fortunate, but
Yeah.
I've never had my primary care doctor be like, "Hey, what's your testosterone? We should get that checked. What's your thyroid? We should get that checked." And
Yeah.
I don't get why. It makes no sense to me. Like most primary care doctors are like, "Hey, once a year or every 6 months we're going to check a complete blood panel or a basic metabolic panel just to see what things are like." So,
Yeah.
why are hormones also not checked? And I was
Hmm.
like, that's weird because I had to like all the labs and whatnot. I paid out of my own pocket because it wasn't time for me to get them.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, that's weird. And they were even like, why are we doing a testosterone? And I was like, well, I've never had one done. It seems like a good reason.
Yeah.
But even that process. So I started asking around. I asked my dad, who's in his 70s. I was like, when was the last time you had it checked? He was like, oh, never. And I was like, what? And then I was like talking to female friends. I was like, have you had, progesterone, estrogen, thyroid? And they're like, no, never. And I'm like, why? So that was something that opened
Really?
my eyes to healthcare. And now I'm like, everybody I talk to, I'm like, get your hormones checked, check it. Nobody asked, Matt. Nobody asked. But yeah,
Wow.
yeah, there were a
Yeah.
lot of things.
My med check is actually coming up pretty soon, so I probably should get my hormones
Throw
checked.
it
Yeah.
on, throw it on there. By the way, not to
Yeah.
defraud any insurance companies here, but you have to have a reason to get labs checked. So if you've potentially been
Uh,
having any fatigue, that is possibly a good reason to check hormones.
gotcha.
Just saying. Just saying.
Noted. Noted. Gotcha. Fatigue. Writing that one
Fatigue.
down. Um, was there ever a time in your experiment that you were just like you throw in the towel, just like today, tomorrow? Because there was a part in the documentary where you were like, I don't know if I can keep doing this, but you were like, I have to though, I have to. Was there ever just a breaking point where it was like, I'm on my hands and knees, I'm crying my eyes, I don't know if I can do this?
There was a shot in the documentary where I'm laying on my kitchen floor and when you're shooting a documentary, when you're making content or whatever, you're constantly thinking about, am I telling a story well? Is this conveying a message to the audience? But then there's also a certain level of like, is this like, first of all, is this authentic? And is this going to feel authentic? Because we live in a
Mm,
world that social media capitalizes on emotions and feelings
everything.
and
Yeah.
inauthentic crap and like rage bait. If you don't know about rage bait, just type that in and then have fun. It's enough to make you want to punch somebody in the face. But so that day, I had to set the camera up to film like I had been doing,
Yeah.
And I had nothing to say, didn't want to be on camera, didn't know how to start it. I
Mm.
needed to film myself heating up some little burgers that I'd eaten 4,000 times. And I I legit didn't know how to start the video. And I was actually laying on the ground, and I was like, "Screw it! I have the camera, and I just rolled over, set it down, and press record, and then I think I sat there. Obviously, we cut this out, but I sat there for a few minutes before I started speaking, and
Wow.
I was like, uh, I was just done. I was smoked. I was so finished, and because I knew the camera was rolling, though, because I knew that the whole purpose for this, I was like, you got to keep going. You got to finish this experiment. You have to do this. And there were, the GI upset and all that crap and not being able to walk stairs. There were many times where I was like, this is miserable. Like, this is miserable. And when the labs came back and confirmed that I was quite literally damaging my body, like,
Hmm.
by definition, I was damaging it. I was like, wow, how far am I going to take this? And
Yeah.
I think my saving grace was knowing there's a time limit. So it's not like this
Hmm.
is going to be forever. And then there was also like, who is this going to reach if I am miserable and I push past that and make sure I complete it? Who is it going to reach? So as corny as it sounds, it's of course not altruistic, but it's,
Hmm.
I started it for those people and I wanted to finish it for those people. That's what really, I think, got me through it.
Yeah. Was your wife worried about you
She
whenever she
was.
saw you like that?
Yeah, at that 30-day mark when I was like, I need to push it to 60 days, it it was only fear
Mm.
for her. It was only like this is bad. Like, your labs are garbage.
Yeah.
And at that time I hadn't had the post 30-day labs drawn, and she supported me through my entire career and whatever I've done. And this was the one time she's ever been like, I don't think you should do this. Like, I really, and it
Mm.
hit me hard because she never says that. She knows that if I'm not going to do something, it's because I'm going to screw it up along the way and realize I shouldn't have done it or get hurt or whatever. Like, she's very smart.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
she realized when we first started dating that I'm like, if she tells me I'm not going to do something, oh, I'm going to break my neck to do it. So she's actually been really smart. Yeah. So, but
Yeah.
she was terrified. She was. Yeah, she really
Yeah.
was.
Yeah. Did you I guess kind of vicariously also kind of feel like, well, I need to comfort her. I need to let her know like everything is going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. All jokes aside, well, no, I guess joke here aside, she was like, it doesn't make sense to do it. Like,
Hmm.
she was like, you agree that this is actually dangerous? And I was like, yeah, it's, I mean, it's not like I'm stepping on a live power line, but you know metabolically, sure, this is damaging. People do this every day. People live like this for a long time. The body's very adaptable. I
Yeah.
started trying to bring her back to understanding, like, the body's very resilient. And while I don't think you should do it, like, I did do it, and I did, things got better. Um,
Hmm.
but it definitely took some reassurance, because I think for her, it probably came from the mentality side, because she had gained weight and lost weight, and with that weight gain, it did a lot to her head. It worked on her quite a bit. It hurt
Mm.
her confidence, and um,
She
you
just
know,
didn't want to see the same thing happen to you.
exactly. Like, she
Yeah.
knows I have a strong resolve and I'm a tough guy and I can push through, but I'm also human,
Yeah.
and I have a soft side without a doubt. So I
Yeah.
think she was very worried about what would that do to me, and
Mm.
it was valid. It was definitely valid.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, what ultimately made you press record the next day then? Was it really just that mentality of like, I got to keep doing this, or was there something else that kind of lit the fire?
The knowing that it could make more of an impact, both for
Hmm.
the viewer and then for the actual numbers,
Yeah.
such as blood work and all that, that and then I think there was also something of, like, prove it to myself type of thing. So again,
Sure.
like I've said for a long time, like, I've I've always been my own experiment,
Hmm.
and I just like everybody, I have insecurities, and I don't know if I can do something and whatnot. And
Yeah.
there was a little voice in the back of my head that was like, "Yeah, you need to stop at 30 days because you can't do 60 days. Like you
Yeah.
can't do that. You can't double what you've done.
And you were
You
like, well,
said the
no, I'm
finish.
gonna. Like,
Yeah, exactly. You said the finish line was here, and I think that little bit of self doubt was
Mhm.
again one more little aspect of forcing yourself to do something when you're not being forced to do it, especially when it's painful. I
Yeah.
think that had a big to do.
Yeah. Yeah. So now that you've eaten all kinds of fast food, I am curious if you have a favorite now.
I do. I do.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I Chick-fil-A just hit the mark every single time. It sounds
Yeah.
and it's such a layup, I know, but
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A just and they just hit like the food was so good, and I found the options of, like, I guess if you want to say like fit options of food to get, like there was more like variety, but then you also could do things that weren't as quote unquote healthy.
Yeah.
Panda Express was awesome. I because I It's not that I never ate fast food, I just rarely ate fast food. So since
Yeah.
I had to really explore and whatnot, I went to a few places a few times, and I got to know some of the menus, and it's like,
Yeah.
they're really creative here at Panda Express. They're doing some good stuff here. And
Yeah.
those were definitely my top two. I enjoyed
Okay.
them a lot. And there's just something to be said about Chick-fil-A service too. They're
Yeah.
just crushing it.
Crushing it. Yeah. I did see you eat a lot of White Castle throughout the documentary, and every time I was like,
Yes.
"Oh, I can't do that."
Are you not a fan?
Th- They call them sliders for a reason, just in and out.
Just slides,
That's
right?
just slides right out.
I thought they were great. My
Yeah,
my editor JP, he was like, I don't know how you're doing that, because he had the same thought process as you. But I was like,
yeah,
these are fantastic. These are great. And
yeah.
I think I loved them too, is because they were in my freezer. I was just able to pick them out and put them
Just pick
in
them out.
the microwave. Again, there's that
Yep.
psycho that eats out of Tupperware every day. Like I just loved it. I thought they were great.
I did write down this quote that you said in the documentary. Firehouse is underrated. I agree. I agree.
Right? Yes.
100%. Dude, I prefer Firehouse over Subway over any.
Yep.
It's just, I don't know. For me, it's the meat to veggie ratio on
Yeah.
that sandwich.
Yeah. I don't know. They give a crap in there. There's something, but there's just a little bit more love that goes into those
Yeah.
subs than the other spots. And I've eaten there a handful of times, but again, having to experiment and whatnot and try
Yeah.
different places, like, these people don't get enough credit. Like, this is a good spot.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I mean, Subway, yeah. For me, like I said, the meat to veggie ratio, like I I have to order double meat every single time
Yeah.
I go to Subway, because it's like, okay, yeah, I get like a couple slices of ham, and then you just get like an avalanche of spinach onto your sandwich. And it's like, I want five other things. Like,
This is not
you
a
can't just
burrito.
expect me to say that I want spinach and that just be it. Like,
Who is Jim Gaffigan? And I think this is even in the documentary, but I don't care. It's that funny. He said in one of his specials, he said, Subway, bread that tastes like it was baked in a dirty dishwasher. And
oh my God,
it's so funny, dude. Oh, well, I think he said in that special too, he's like, you just
yeah.
walk by Subway and you just breathe in that bread exhaust. It's like, it's very funny. It's very funny.
Yeah. Well, it's also the experience to me. Like I said, I'm a little introverted.
Yeah.
So like you meet the
That's
first
it's a
person.
lot of participation. Yes.
Yeah, you meet the first person and it's just like, what do you want? Can I get flatbread? What bread? Flatbread. And then they like, oh, do you want it toasted? It's like, yes, I want it toasted. It's flatbread. Otherwise, it's like spongy, starchy bread. And then they take it out of the toaster. They hand it to a second person. So now you have to get a read on that person's personality.
Absolutely.
So it's just I can't stand Subway.
I agree.
I'm
I
crashing out
totally,
right now over Subway.
I totally agree with you. It's it's funny because like it feels like I'm just blowing Jim Gaffigan up, but he also in that special he's like yeah, and you're trying to mind will them to put one extra slice of deli meat on there. That's so true. That's so true. When you're there, you're like,
Yeah.
just put the pickles on. Like, more. Come on, you put six pickles on there.
Come on, like,
That's
yeah.
so true. That's so
My,
true. Yeah, what a
my
miserable
favorite
experience.
part of Subway is whenever it's like you put everything on and it's like, okay, now what kind of sauce? And it's like, can I get mayo and sriracha? And they kind of like shoot you a look, and it's like, it's my sandwich, dude. Like, leave me alone, you know?
Yeah, very true. Yep. It's I went to did I go to yeah, I went to Moe's and like I'm not a vegetarian, I'm not a vegan, and I think
Yeah.
this might not even I don't think this is in the documentary, but I went one time and I put tofu and steak on it and
Mhm.
they like stopped and looked up and I was like, "Is it that serious?" Like, I don't know. Like I think that tofu is probably cooked on the same grill as a steak. So what are we doing here? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. What a yeah, such a strange experience, really is.
um, so by the end of the doc, um, you talked about how, and you even kind of briefly showed like your transition back into eating normally and everything. How has that transition really kind of looked for you? And was it easy, or were you finding yourself having to be like you're driving down the road, like, oh, happy hour, like,
It,
okay.
it's funny you asked that. I had a few more mental impacts than I realized. And
Mm,
I hadn't put any content out about that, to be honest with you.
hmm.
It's that's unintentional, but I've held off that weight. I've actually here recently dropped a little bit of weight. The
Okay.
weight that I achieved, I really liked where I was at. It was actually
Hmm.
helping a lot with jujitsu and lifting weights and whatnot. So
Yeah.
I actually just physically liked the way I looked. Like I didn't have as big of a head anymore. I was like, oh, my lower body actually matches my head. Like I look back at some of the old photos when I was, that weight, and I'm like, I got a gigantic head compared to my body. But I noticed that some of those habits stuck around and
Okay.
and I totally believe in something called flexible nutrition. That's basically you eat 80% of what you're quote unquote supposed to eat or the good things, and then you take 20% and blow it out the window, eat whatever you want.
Okay.
um, I found that 80-20 is a little bit tougher to stick to.
Okay.
It's been well, it's maybe not 20, maybe it's not
Yeah.
20. It hasn't really been fast food, and I think that, the big reason is just budgetary. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I bought stuff at home, and there's also the
Yeah.
convenience factor of like, I don't want to sit in this line. Like, I don't sit in this line for a burger. It's going to be wrong anyway. Like I'm a
Hmm.
very I guess I'm maybe it's just I'm actually a really lazy person when it comes to food. I'm like, I just want to heat it up in a microwave. Like, I'll
Yep.
sacrifice taste for convenience. But with that said, like, yeah, I find food a little bit more fun than I used to because I was much
Oh,
more
okay.
like, I guess I would say militant, like very very regimented, and this is what it had to be. Especially when I
Yeah.
first started out in fitness, that got much better. I found a lot more flexibility, but
Okay.
I definitely feel like I didn't just revert back to 160-pound Matt. 100 like I feel like I reverted back closer to that 130-pound Matt that was really hardcore and
Mm.
whatnot. Like it wasn't that. I didn't revert all the way back to that. I was a little almost I guess you'd say lazier with it. I was like, food is a little bit more fun, and
Mm.
I don't think that would have been the case had I not had the experience of just blowing it out of the water for 10 months. Like the goal
Yeah.
was gain that weight. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I think that had a little bit more effect than I realized.
Yeah. Yeah. Gotcha. So to wrap up, I'm going to ask you one last question here, and
Sure,
it's, I mean, we're just sticking with the mojo of the show here.
sure.
Um, but in your opinion, what is a common misconception about exercise, and how would you hope to change people's perception today? Um, for me personally, I see a lot of these influencers who are like, oh, you got to have like 40, 30, 30, or something like that of
Yeah,
like, and I've also seen other people on the other side be like, well, a calorie is a calorie. It doesn't matter what goes in your body. But like at some
sure,
extent, like it matters what goes in your body, you know?
sure.
So I'm curious to know what your opinion is on what misconceptions are out there that you'd like to change today.
Now, specifically with exercise,
Yes, specifically with exercise or dieting,
yeah,
anything like that. Yeah.
gotcha. Yeah, I think that I'll give that. You know what? I'll give it twofold. I'll give one for nutrition, and one for the exercising portion.
Okay.
Exercise, without a doubt, I've seen it across the board, and I wish that I could just flip a switch to help everyone. That everyone feels that exercise has to look like the exercise that they are aware of, which is I go in a gym or I get on the treadmill, I lift weights for three sets of 10. Like, the way that most people view fitness is viewed through Instagram, is viewed through TikTok. And
Yeah.
and I hate that for them, because what I mean is what you enjoy is what you're going to stick to. And
Okay.
it, like, we'll just give this for example, cardio. What is something that you would pick out? Like, if I say let's do cardio, what would be one of the things you'd say we do?
Um, well, I'm a big rope guy, so a lot of
Okay.
jump rope or even, ropes like that probably as
See,
well.
good. You have a fantastic and different point of view than most, because most people would say go running, like, go biking, and
Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with that. And yes, those are
sure.
fantastic forms of cardio. But if you go do a little bit of jujitsu,
Hmm.
it's so much cardio. If you lift weights, I promise you, you're going to get that heart pounding. So I
Yeah.
think there's this little box that people put fitness into, and what I mean is, like, there are these narrow lines, and this is what it is. And
Yeah.
I've met so many people that are like, I know I need to exercise, I know I need to lift weights, I knew, like, if you hate that, don't do that. So,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, shifting your perspective of what that actually looks like and should be like, because if you just get out and get active, walking is so underrated. That's
Hmm.
when we do open heart patients that have their heart worked on that afternoon, they have them up and walking for just
Mm.
all the body systems that it benefits, not even just fat loss,
Wow.
obviously, but
Wow.
that says a lot, that we just
Yeah.
saw it on your heart, and that afternoon we got you up on your feet. That just says so much.
Wow. Yeah. The human
So
body is amazing.
it's incredible, and I
Yeah.
think that, again, f- figuring out what you want exercise to look like, that's the misconception, because I think a lot of people think it has to look like this, or it has to look like V-Shred or somebody, like an influencer or whatever.
Mm.
And then I'd say about food is that people major in the minors. They
Major in the minors.
they major in the minors. If I had $1 for every person that's like, I'm eating healthy, or I'm eating organic, or I only eat range free, or whatever, and their
Mm.
goal is to lose fat,
Yeah.
I wish so badly, which is why I did the documentary in the book, to let people know that calories are truly the way to do it. Now, and I'll
Yeah.
extend an olive branch. You're 100% right. If you eat nothing but cake, yes, you can lose weight. It's going to be real tough, though. It's going to be
Yeah.
really tough.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a numbers game, but it's going to be really tough. Increasing protein, increasing fiber. Hitting all those, like, it makes it so much more sustainable.
Hmm.
But if people don't know how to start and they don't know the basic understanding, then they're walking blind.
Mm.
So letting people know that, yes, it really is a mathematical problem that we're talking about, and then also, yes, there are definitely some things that you could do that would be better, such as eating the foods you enjoy, getting more protein, and all that.
Yeah.
So, because it's just so easily overcomplicated, where people are like, well, actually, what
Yeah.
happens is you spike your blood sugar, and because of that, the cells and the mitochondria is just like, don't you just want to lose some weight? Like, it just, people major in the minors, and they're so focused about
Yeah.
organic and this and that, and so it's just, I've always
Yeah.
felt that, like, you have to standardize before you optimize.
Yeah.
Like, you have to just learn what a calorie deficit is, start eating in a calorie deficit, then start adding in some organic lettuce if you want, and
Yeah.
eat the way you quote unquote should. So, perception of how fat loss actually happens, and then I would say perception of what you feel exercise has to look like. At the end of the
Yeah.
day, all of it is what you want to be doing. Like, and it,
Sure.
it sounds like such a layup answer, but across the board, all the literature, all the science says that the best exercise or the best workout or the best diet in the world doesn't mean jack if you don't stick to it.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And I can definitely say dieting wise, I've strayed away from the food pyramid and have been finding out ways that, like, what's I because now I'm 30 years old, so like I know what foods,
yeah,
fats, proteins, and carbs. I know what my body is best affected by. Really.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, yeah, and that's awesome. Like that's the experimental person in you that's figured that out. And like I've found that the person that is experimental is the one that truly has progress and long-term success with fitness, because they try things based on how they feel, based on how they perform and whatnot. And like that's the best, like, because again, the best diet in the world doesn't mean jack if you can't stick to it. If you're allergic to whatever the best is, that doesn't matter because it's not going to work for you. So good on you, good sir.
Yeah, thank you. So we're going to wrap it up here. Go ahead and take a second, though, Matt, and just let people know where they can find you.
Matt Lane Fitness, anywhere and everywhere is where you can get. I mean, MattLaneFitness.com, YouTube / Matt Lane Fitness. Matt Lane Fitness is anywhere and everywhere there.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, everybody needs to go get the book. Everybody needs to watch the documentary. I mean, your hard work and effort definitely went towards that. So yeah, definitely everybody needs to go check it out. Yeah.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Only buy a book if it's something you want. Please don't do it out of I'm going to throw this guy a bone. I want it to be a tool for you,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks, Matt, for being on the show.
Enjoyed it.
I'm super excited to have had you on in the first place. Big fan. So yeah, it was great to have you on. I'm honored.
Really enjoyed it. Seriously, I appreciate you. Thank you. I really, and the timing and our technical difficulties, I appreciate you hanging in there with me.
Yeah, it was all good. So if you like today's episode, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I'm your host, Thomas Casey Zellers, and I will see you in the next one later.